Welcome, and thank you for joining today's sessions. Before we dive in, let's address something that's likely on everybody's mind. Are we pricing? We have heard the questions and understand the concerns, especially after the recent price changes. But here is the bottom line. The recent price changes applies to different market segment and not to you, to our cloud service provider and telco partners. The price remains unchanged for you. Your current pricing along with your existing discounts, remain unchanged. We are fully committed to helping you grow your load balancing business with Avi. In fact, we want to work even more closely with you to increase the attach rate, drive adoption, and keep Avi competitive in your offering. So, if you are scaling or planning more commitments, let's have that conversation. Your account team is here to support you. Again, nothing has changed for you from the pricing perspective. We are in together as long term partners. With that, let's get started with what really matters here, how RV can help you modernize your services, optimize infrastructure costs, and unlock new revenue streams for you. In today's session, we have designed for teams across the product management, architecture, operations team, and the go to marketing team. And we are going to show you how RV transforms load balancing from a basic infrastructure tool into a next generation scalable multi tenant solution that can drive growth and operational efficiency for you. And by end of this session, you will have a very clear understanding of how RV Load Balancer can help you monetize, optimize your cloud services, along with the value proposition which RV carries. So with that, let's get started. Let's start with a basic, simple question. Why is modern load balancing so critical to your success? And why it's for a change now? We'll take a closer look at what makes RV different. What's that value proposition, unique differentiation which RV brings to the table, from software defined architecture to multi tenancy to elastic scaling. All these capabilities opens up a new way for you to streamline your operation and offer scalable services. And then we'll explore how you can turn these capabilities into new revenue stream by building up service tiers and driving operational efficiency. And then finally, we are going to also share some real world feedback from CSP who are actively using VMware Cloud Director VCD with Avi to deliver those value add services, monetize their offering, and future proof their investments. So let's start with why is modernizing load balancing a must for CSPs and telcos? And the answer lies in staying competitive and meeting that growing demand of dynamic multi-tenant environment. Let's start off with are we delivering significant ROI by simplifying operations and reducing costs? With that single integrated software stack, all features are included in a single SKU and no hidden costs, no add-ons, no additional licenses. And this makes for you CSP managing infrastructure much more simpler, more efficient, and more predictable. And the result speaks for itself. When we third party actually interviewed many customers, those came out with the feedback that RV accelerates deployment by 90%. It reduces the operational cost 43% and more through automation, through API support, through centralized control. Now, CSP with this can quickly provision services, automate process, and scale with ease. And when it comes to scale, RV is built for massive deployment, massive environments, the large scale deployments like the 40K plus VMs, meaning It can handle those large scale virtualized workloads where your business apps are running. With that 9K GSLB services, global load balancer, Avi is ensuring that the global traffic is efficiently distributed, maintaining high availability across multiple data centers. And then security is top priority. And Avi handles that very efficiently, protecting against web threats like the SQL injection or that cross site scripting. And we are going to talk more about it with that OWASP top 10 rules. Plus, RV manages 17K virtual services, ensuring each application connection is secure, scalable, and it is performant. So, in essence, RV is not just improving the performance, it is also streamlining your management, cutting the cost, operational efficiency as your business is growing. Let's begin by addressing why modernization is crucial for CSPs and telcos today. In this fast evolving application economy, cloud native applications, they are scaling very rapidly and becoming more complex. Legacy systems, especially the traditional load balancer solutions, simply can't keep up. Why? Because they are rigid, manual, fail to provide the scalability and automation that the modern application demands. And these outdated systems slow down your innovation, increases operational cost, and create inefficiency. And for you to remain competitive, CSP needs a modern load balancing solution that is very agile, scalable, which grows with your demand. And they are able to handle that dynamic workload. And that is why it is essential to modernize your infrastructure and leverage a solution that's built on this cloud era, cloud principles. And we are going to talk about those cloud principles. So the question is not whether to modernize, but how to do it effectively and efficiently. Now that we have established that need for modernizing the load balancing, let's take a moment to understand why load balancing is more than just a technical necessity, more than just a technical requirement. It's a strategic advantage. It's the foundation of your digital infrastructure, enabling your business critical application to perform at its best because these applications are running on your infrastructure. Load balancing ensures your application can handle that unpredictable traffic. It's able to maintain that uptime so that the users can access those applications. And then at the same time, when the demand increases, the traffic increases, your load balancer is able to take care of it. And that's where the load balancing basic foundation feature comes in overloading. So it prevents that overloading. It is optimizing the performance and guaranteeing 24 by 7 availability by seamlessly rerouting the traffic when any issue arises. And this is very crucial for CSP that needs to maintain high performance and security across these dynamic multi-tenant environments. Without a reliable load balancing, CSP will risk downtime, poor performance, and that missed opportunity. In today's cloud-driven world, load balancing is essential not just for your infrastructure, but for maintaining business agility and delivering quality services to your tenant and staying also at the same time competitive in this rapidly evolving market. Now that we have covered the basic importance of load balancing, let's focus on what's the top of the mind for a cloud service provider as you tackle these challenges. You are balancing priorities to stay competitive and meet that growing demand of your tenants. And today we are going to highlight those key pillars about your strategy. First and foremost, the foundation is the cost and ROI. Optimizing the OPEX cost and the CAPEX is very crucial to your profitability. That's where the margin, the profitability comes to play. And Avi helps reduce that cost while boosting your revenue potential with its flexible, elastic, scalable services. And we are going to talk about these terms which I'm putting it out there: elasticity, shared multi-tenancy. This is how you can see how the OPEX and CAPEX are working. The second comes is enterprise grade. Avi is built to handle those mission critical workloads, offering the scalability, high availability, and security of your tenants. The third comes is the security. The security is embedded in Avi. Avi integrates security directly into your platform. The moment you spin up the service engine, the load balancer security is in there from that day zero, giving you and your tenant that peace of mind with the built-in protection. Then comes the service extensibility. You remember, when the business grows, my services needs to um, be flexible enough to grow with that. And that's where we are talking about the service extensibility. RV scales very effortlessly as your business grows, enabling you to deliver those additional services when the business is expanding. And the last is the licensing flexibility. Remember, RV has a single SKU. So it's simplifying the licensing, and it can allow you to create multiple customer service tiers so that you can meet your unique business needs, because we know every CSP has different service needs, and they can customize, they can slice and dice services based on their needs. And that's where, with this single SKU, RV simplifies the management and allows you to create custom service tiers. But for you, we have predefined a couple of service tiers like the standard and the premium when you are using the VMware Cloud Director. They are there from day zero. All that automation and everything is built up so that you can hit the ground immediately. But you can create more. So with RV, you're not just solving that technical challenges, you are unlocking new revenue streams, and you are positioning yourself in this competitive environment. Now that we have looked into the key pillars, let's dive into how you will take this RV and productize in the market. How will you take the RV based services to the market? And why are we talking about this? Because productizing RV isn't just about the technology, it's about how do we make it well integrated, scale, and grow within your organization. And the goal is simple: to simplify and streamline the process for you. This is a framework, a blueprint, which is given starting from engagement to productize. In productizing, start by defining your offering and aligning with your internal product management team. And this is the foundation for your load balancing as a service when you productize. Then comes is the industrialization, where the high level design, the VMware blueprint, works out. And then you work with your network architecture to do a detailed level architecture design. And by following this framework, and then comes the operationalization, where you can leverage the VMware Cloud Director and the other management tools like the VCF, the NSX Manager, and more. You can manage that for managing multi tenancy and simplifying your day to day operations, starting from day zero to day two across your team. And by following this framework, you'll be able to seamlessly scale your services while maintaining that business continuity when you hand this all over to your NOC team so that they can run everything smoothly and you can focus on delivering value to your tenants. Now let's focus on that value proposition for RV. What are those unique features which RV provides, starting from the software defined architecture to seamlessly supporting Kubernetes, how the shared multi tenancy is working out, how well RV is natively integrated into the VMware Cloud Director. Let's dive into those. The first comes is RV. integration seamlessly with the VMware Cloud Director, VCD. This is where Avi stands out. No other vendors out there in the market for the load balancer have this kind of a native load balancing, native integration between the load balancing solution and the cloud management platform. With Avi's native integration with VCD, CSP can provide that multi-tenancy, enable tenant self-service through a unified single portal. So as a CSP admin, as a tenant admin, all of you logs into the same portal. But yes, there is an RBAC control, which is this critical part of integration, which is providing you with that granular control to both the CSP admin and to the tenant admin, which ensures that the right users have access to the appropriate services, which improves the security and the operations. And both Avi and the VCD, which is the cloud management platform, are based on this software defined architecture where the control plane and the management plane is different. And that's where that integration really works out well. Furthermore, VCD built-in automation for service tiers, which allows CSPs to offer. You remember I talked about that standard and the premium tiers, service tiers, which are right out of the box for you so that you can accelerate time to market. These are readily available to you. But yes, you can still slice and dice services, features, capabilities, and create your own customized services based on your needs. Talking about that software defined architecture, that's where the modernization of Avi is coming to play. As you see, the enterprise are scaling their cloud native environment. CSPs needs a scalable, reliable solution. And that's where that Avi load balancer as a next generation load balancer as a service comes to play, which is simplifying your operations, reducing the cost, and boosting the performance. With the software defined architecture, what we are doing is separating out the control plane and the data plane. So on the control plane, all the centralized policy management is happening while your data plane is scaling very independently. The RV controller, which sits in the control plane, is handling all the lifecycle management. It is using that REST API to execute policies seamlessly across any cloud. Yes, container support is also there. And there is no extra cost for the controller. What you pay is for the data plane, making it much more cost effective and an elastic solution. Elastic here, scaling in and scaling out. With VMware tools like the NSX Manager, the vCenters, they are also built up on the same software-defined networking principle. And that's where Avi integrates very seamlessly. And with this seamless integration of software-defined tools, it offers you a better automation, multi-cloud support, and at the same time, deep visibility. That's where it is reducing complexity for you and providing you with that enterprise grade services for both the traditional and the cloud native workloads, and all that in a multi-tenant support. Let's double click on that software defined networking architecture, because that's where Avi kind of aligns with the software defined networking architecture, which aligns with the core cloud principles. What are those core cloud principles? Elasticity, simplicity, automation, and scalability. And this, you're not going to find that out in a traditional appliance, which would require that box by box configuration, manual configuration, and kind of a rigid scaling. This is where Avi comes to play and offer you with that cloud native speed, simplicity, automation, and elasticity. At the Avi control plane, the controller is there. This is where you define your needs, whether, let's say, I want SSL termination, I want WAF policy, or I need to do rate limit. So the controller is turning your intent into actions and provisioning that configuration to the service engines which are there in the data plane. And then monitoring this real-time performance and automation scaling and all that self-healing happens. So as your controllers are taking your intent, putting it into action, the real traffic, the traffic execution happens at that data plane. That's where all the policies are applied from the controller to these SEs. So these SEs, the load balancers, are handling your task, like you're defining the load balancing. I want SSL termination, WAF enforcement, all that is happening at the service engine level. And these SEs are elastic. They scale automatically based on the traffic demand, and they can be deployed on-prem or in the cloud. They are just simply there executing policies which are um, controlled from the controller. That's where that segregation of the control and the data plane is is happening. At the same time, Avi enables declarative policies, such as ensuring traffic to your payment app is always encrypted. That's your intent, and that is taken care of, so that you're reducing the manual effort and you're ensuring consistency. And that's all happening because of the software defined architecture which Avi brings to the table. The next one, I'm going to spend a little more time on this slide because let's face it, analytics is the most important thing, the visibility end to end. That is very well integrated into the Avi. And CSPs love this feature because it's truly a game changer for them. Avi doesn't just provide basic traffic stats. Okay, this is the latency or this is the round trip. It tracks a wide range of real-time metrics, including health score, latency, SSL handshake, network performance, DNS, app level data, transaction latency, user satisfaction, what we call it as app DEX score. Starting off on the left-hand side, you can see the app health score, application health score, 55, 80, 130 with different color coding. That's a high-level view of how the apps are performing, which is taking into consideration like error rates and latency. So if your health score is low, like the web score here shows 30, that tells you that the app is not performing well and we need to do something, we need to act fast. There's one more, like I mentioned, app DEX score, which is the user satisfaction. User satisfaction based on the app response time, whether the users are happy, tolerating, or frustrated. And this helps identify issue very early on so that you can fix them before they impact the users or the performance. And when that issue arises, Avi will pinpoint the root cause, whether that issue is in the server side, application side, networking side, or the load balancer sides. So it is cutting the triage, that troubleshooting time from hours and hours to minutes, helping your team troubleshoot quickly and prevent that downtime. And in a real world deployment, we have seen many CSPs have given these their app teams, this access to this Avi dashboard, analytics dashboard. This way, the application developers, they can quickly troubleshoot without opening service troubleshooting tickets with the load balancing team, with the networking team. And that helps reduce frictions and speed up the resolution time. And one thing I wanted to emphasize here is what really sets Avi apart is the ability to deliver that deep level contextual insight, which a traditional load balancer cannot offer this kind of a deep visibility. Avi is software defined, distributed models, and that's why it is able to correlate data from users to applications to servers to the network to the infrastructures, and giving you that actionable insight, everything all through a single unified UI. In short, Avi's advanced analytics empowers you to keep your services running smoothly, securely, optimized, saving time for you. Remember that cutting triage time, troubleshooting time from hours to minutes. And at the end of the day, that improves the tenant satisfaction. Next one is the container support, the Kubernetes supports. We are going to talk about when the workloads are on the Kubernetes cluster. So in a Kubernetes environment, um, managing external traffic, that external traffic from user all the way to the cluster, getting that external traffic to the cluster could be very complex, especially when you are doing it in a multi-tenant setup. And traditionally, what we have seen is CSPs rely on multiple tools for that ingress traffic, for that routing, and then providing services like DNS, load balancing, WAF, all that becomes very fragmented, gives you limited visibility because once the traffic comes into the Kubernetes cluster, then if I want to apply load balancing services, I'm rerouting that traffic here, pinning the traffic to load balancer. Or for this, I need WAF service, security services, then to other services. So that's where that fragmentation and limited services come to play. In Kubernetes, ingress services are very essential because they are the ones who are managing how external traffic reaches services inside the cluster. Think of ingress as a smart router. It takes that incoming request and send them to the right service. But like I mentioned, the CSP will have to stitch together the ingress routing which is happening, and then these multiple tools for load balancing, DNS, and WAF, which is creating complexity, which is creating that complexity and gaps for you. And that is where a new standard, which is the Gateway API, comes to play. That defines how the traffic enters the cluster, like it's the front door, and then what all services needs to apply. But it cannot handle everything. Avi picks up from here once the traffic comes to the front door. And Avi integrates very natively with this gateway API, and it's and provides you with that unified ingress platform that applies then load balancing services starting from L4 to L7. DNS, IPAM, WAP, GSLB, all those consolidated services in one single place. And that helps you simplifies your operation, replacing these point products, improving and enabling automation for you, elastic scaling and centralized visibility. In short, that gateway API, which is the new standard, defines how the traffic should enter and be handled. We are talking about the rules and the structure that gateway API does. And then once traffic is in, then the RV ingress services is going to receive all that traffic, and then it's going to execute the traffic management and whatever services were defined by the gateway API, and it will apply all that services all from a single platform. Then comes the security, which is tenant ready embedded security from day zero. These security, RV security is integrated into the service engine that powers the load balancing, which is eliminating you to get a third party security appliance or an add on from the licensing, simplifying licensing and operations for you. And why is RV security stack different? Because, like I mentioned, integrated security from day one, which is combining layer 3, layer 4 firewalling, SSL termination, SAML authentication, and all that layer 7 services which are required, like the WAF, rate limiting, all that in a single platform. Built-in WAF is there, like I mentioned, that comes with the OWAF's top 10 signatures, which protects you against the common web vulnerabilities like the SQL injection, cross scripting, XSS. And then there is advanced protection also from the layer 7 rules, like, for example, HTTP header filtering, URL based policies, DDoS protection, safeguarding against all these layer 7 DDoS, and zero-day exploits. Elastic rate limiting. That's where the granularity of the traffic control comes to play. Like if there is a throttling happening, throttling API during some high demand events to prevent some abuse. And then all that together in the same centralized management, real time monitoring, automatic updates of the signature. All that is part of the RV service engines where the security is built. So we talked about the multi-tenancy integration with the VMware Cloud Director, the native integration, Kubernetes supports, analytics. You remember the contextual correlation which happens with the analytics, where it gives you end-to-end visibility, built-in security. But beyond this, we also offer where CSP has the ability to optimize operations, reduce waste, and unlock new revenue streams with Avi. And that's where we are going to explore that next. How do we further monetize? And these are some of the ways. That's where we are going to talk about. The first is the software defined architecture, which makes your infrastructure future proof, and also the investments, which is future proof with RV software defined networking. 20x reduction in the managed device. In a typical CSP setup, let's say 1,500 tenants would require 3,000 appliances because they are working in active standby mode in a legacy terms. With RV, it's cutting the appliances into maybe 150 to 170 service engines because of the active mode. That's where it is cutting down the complexity and significantly reducing the cost. And at the same time, when RV supports that active model, it supports the multi-tenancy natively. And that's where the optimizing resources usage and simplifying your infrastructure comes to play. And we are going to talk about that multi-tenancy in a moment. But right now, we are talking more on the active model, which also supports the self-healing, and the failure recovery is out there. So one SC goes down, but there is a heartbeat happening between the controller and all the SCs. So if a failure occurs, then the traffic is automatically getting redirected. A new SC will spin up automatically. You don't have to do anything manual intervention out there. With your minimal disruption and then zero manual intervention comes out. At the same time, you can see RV operates as a software defined chassis that can scale without that physical limitation. And that's where you see higher throughputs, 6.5 terabits per second, and then 10 million SSL transactions per second, making it really ideal for that large scale multi-tenant environment. Remember, in the beginning slides, we talked about large scale deployments. That's where it is coming. Plus, at the same time, non-disruptive upgrades which are happening, the software upgrades. RV enables that zero downtime upgrades. So CSP can upgrade controllers or an SC groups without interrupting any tenant services. If you are in a multi-tenant environment, then one of your tenant can run, let's say, version 2 of RV. Other tenants are running version 3 based on the requirements. That's where RV helps you optimize costs, improves operations, and then the scalability comes to play. The second is where the auto healing is happening, scale in and scale out along with your traffic needs. So RV elastic scaling capabilities will allow you to onboard tenants in real time, automatically adjusting to demands without manual intervention. And let me give you an example there. Each service engine can support up to 9 tenants. And this is by design. The moment a 10th tenant is added, RV controller will automatically provision a new SE to manage that increased load, ensuring scalability without pre-planning on over provisioning. So you don't have to do anything. Avi by design will automatically spin up that SC. And the good part here is that it's scaling out, but what happens when my traffic decreases? What should I be doing for all these SCs which are already commissioned out? So Avi supports both scale in, Avi supports both scale out and then scale in. When the traffic decreases, those unused SCs are decommissioned automatically, freeing up resources. And at the same time, if it is freeing up resources, it means reducing cost for you. This means that automated lifecycle management, improved resource utilization, and optimizations are happening for the operational cost. And in this, RV is um, RV controller is kind of continuously monitoring the traffic and the application telemetry, and then it is doing that adjustment of the resources dynamically. The next one is the HA mode. In a legacy third-party load balancer, you will have a active standby mode. So in case of RV, you will see the active, what it means to you. And why are we talking about this again? We are talking this time from the virtual service point of view. And why are we talking from the virtual service point of view? Because the virtual service is a logical representation of a service, directing traffic from users to that appropriate backend services where the applications are there. So let's say, for example, when user is accessing a payment app, which is running on, which is backed up by the virtual service one. Virtual service one ensures that the traffic is routed correctly to that service. So on the traditional side of it, on the traditional HA model, each virtual service needs a dedicated pair of that active standby, leading to inefficiency. With RV active model, the same virtual service one is accessible across multiple service engines, which ensures continuous service even if some of the SC fails. That's the power of the active SA for RV. And then the N plus M configuration, which gives you that added flexibility in active mode, where N nodes is handling the traffic actively, and the M node scales up when it is necessary, maintaining that optimal performance and high availability without the need for any standby unit. The next is the automations which are there with the VMware tools. And VMware offers that suite of tools for you, CSP, and for the tenants to automate everything starting from day zero, from the infrastructure buildup to day two task, including the service instantiation, the RBAC granular control, configuration management, operations, billing, and the bandwidth tiering for the RV. The key here is to have a seamless experience, and that seamless experience is coming because even all these tools like the VCF, the VCD, vCenter, NSX, and SDCC, all these tools are also based on the software defined architecture. So there is a very unified software defined architecture which is common between all these tools and RV. And that's where that integration is very seamless, which works out for you when you are provisioning the workloads, the lifecycle management, and the scaling. VCD, like I mentioned, it automates your load balancer as a service provisioning, and then the multi-tenancy support. Remember, the cloud provider admin and the tenant admin both logs in to the same portal, and then they go through the day zero to day two configuration. vCenter and the NSX simplifies your scaling, the load balancing, and the network configuration. VCF, SDDC, software defined data center, that's where it is also automating the deployment, scaling, management of these service engine. This native plug and play integration helps CSP optimize the operations and driving overall operational efficiency. So at the same time you are monetizing, but at the same time there is an operational efficiency also coming to the play for the CSP. Let's talk about that shared consumption model because we keep talking about multi-tenant architecture. Avi supports that multi-tenant architecture and it gives you the flexibility that it supports both dedicated or a shared service model so that it can optimize that resource allocation based on your tenant needs. For example, on the left-hand side, in a dedicated model, a high performance or a security conscious tenant gets their own resources. On the other hand, with a shared model where you can monetize more, it allows multiple tenants to share resources while still maintaining strict isolation and policy enforcements, ensuring high security and performance. And let me give you an example. One service engine can efficiently serve 9 tenants without compromising the performance, the throughput, and the security, and the high availability. So in this picture, in this slide, we are showing 4 service engine, and that's where 36 tenants can be supported, which is driving down the infrastructure cost for UCSP. And RV service engine groups, they can dynamically scale to meet the traffic demands. That's where that cost-effective load balancer as a service is coming to play. This shared model, which we showed you on the right-hand side, will help maximize resource utilization, reducing operational overhead, and increasing your profit margins, all without compromising the enterprise grade quality. And the last, like we discussed earlier also, the VMware Cloud Director, which integrates very seamlessly with Avi, which allows a CSP to quickly and efficiently offer load balancing as a service from that day zero. Remember, Avi has a single licensing SKU that includes all the features starting from basic load balancing to advanced load balancing. And this is where CSP can easily slice and dice um, and tailor these service tiers based on their business needs. But to help you hit the ground running, we have pre-configured 2 service tiers, standard and the premium, along with the plus managed service, all with built-in automation. So when you log in into the VCD and create tenants, you can easily assign them to appropriate service tier, and they will automatically receive those corresponding features and capabilities. Tenant 1 to 10, let's say you are offering them standard service tier. So when those tenants logs on to the VCD, they will see the services or the capabilities which are part of the standard service tier. And then you can enhance that standard service tier when your tenant says, hey, apart from the standard service, I want global load balancing. I'm just showing an example, which is part of the managed service. Then a CSP can offer those services, value add services to their tenants. So this streamlined process is not only saves time, but it is also simplifying your effort to offer different level of services, enabling you to deliver value add offerings with minimal setup and maximizing revenue potential right from that day zero, like I mentioned. We consolidates essential services such as load balancing, GSLB, DNS, IPAM, WAF, and DDoS protection, all into that unified platform, reducing complexity for you and supercharging efficiency where it brings in that enterprise grade level services. Whether you need to get a shared or a dedicated multi-tenancy, Avi's elastic scaling, built-in telemetry analytics, and automation gives you that power to deliver differentiated service while improving operational efficiency. Plus, with that container support, Avi is ready to handle the most modern cloud native applications, keeping you future proof in today's rapidly evolving landscape. Avi Load Balancer redefines how CSP delivers application services in that private cloud environment with a scalable, cost effective solution built on this software defined architecture. That's where Avi brings that centralized control, centralized management, automated provisioning, elastic scaling, all that with that support of multi tenancy, seamlessly integrated with VCF, VCD. That's where the Avi plug and play deployment comes to play. And to accelerate Avi load balancing, these are some of the next steps. A CSP should identify the target accounts, define the product offering. That's where productization comes to play. Create use cases for messaging, where you bundle the Avi load balancer with services so that easy purchasing can be done. And then provide training and resources for effective positioning. That's where you enable your sales and channels. Hope this approach helps you kind of productize, industrialize Avi load balancer. Thank you.